Well, hello there, people within the internet, and hello again. I'm TheMBmulti. Welcome to part 39 of my Let's Play Doki Doki Encore. In the previous episodes, Monika got a little too close to me in the music room when she performed her song for me, and yeah, you know, it's things with Monika have been developing quite well, and the character is a bit confused as to who he should choose because, of course, he would. I started off officially on Natsuki's route here because you can't start off on Monika's route. So he's like, oh, I will have to break Natsuki's heart if I choose Monika. And Sayori will be very sad as well. And, you know, maybe I like Yuri as well or whatever. And then he's like, let's take a walk, which he has never done before. So let's see what happens. As soon as I step out of my house, I'm greeted by a nice gentle breeze in my face. Off in the distance, I can hear the birds chirping, the same song I've heard hundreds of, if not thousands of times. I look up to see the sky almost cloud-free, and better yet, the sun hasn't even started to set. I should be able to do a walk around the neighborhood and get back before dark. Whoa, what the hell? I take another few steps out onto the sidewalk when a strong gust of wind comes hurling at me, forcing me to shield my eyes. Well, that certainly came out of nowhere. Mark? Whoa, hi, Monika, did you... Okay, first of all, that's the very first time I've ever seen you in casual clothing. Except for in Blue Skies, but in Blue Skies you had a completely different sprite. So, you know. So that's first of all. And second of all, did you just teleport? Monika, did you just teleport? Why couldn't you just call me like a normal person? Why did you... insist on fucking teleporting towards me? I turn around to see Monika standing right behind me even. What the fuck? He teleports behind you. Oh my Shindiru. Nani? Monika? Well, this is a surprise. I didn't know you lived here. I didn't know you could teleport, Monika. Well, my house is just right over there. I point out, oh, I'm not standing. I thought I was still standing in my, like on my porch or whatever, so it's not as creepy, but it's still a bit weird. I point out my house to Monika. Nice house, Mark. Oh, it's alright, nothing too special. Anyways, I didn't know you lived around here. I thought you lived on the other side of town, in the Swan District. Oh, I still live there, but I just took the bus to get over here. Figure she would still live there. The Swan District is where all the rich people in our surrounding area live who don't want to live in this city. There's some incredibly gorgeous houses over there, though it's not something most families like mine would ever be able to afford considering everything is pretty much gated. Considering Monika's family is pretty well off, it doesn't surprise me that she lives there. Oh, well, what brought you all the way over here? Are you visiting Sayori? I point out to Sayori's house as I ask that. No, I was just out for a stroll. It's part of my exercise routine that I do a 10-mile walk once a week. And I remember that I haven't gone this way in a while. Wow, a 10-mile walk? You're definitely dedicated. I always strive to stay in shape, Mark. Mentally as well as physically. Well, I know why you're the best. Monika blushes brightly at my compliments. Well, I'm glad you feel that way. I'd be surprised at how many people at school are envious of my success. What? Oh, you'd be surprised at how many people... Why would I be surprised? It should be like kind of everyone, right? I have my share of admirers too. I have my share of admirers though. Monika gives me a slight wink. Well, hey, I'm just happy for you. I mean, I'm nothing special. Monika gives me a concerning frown. But you are. You may not know it, Mark, but you never fail to put a smile on anyone's face. You're always supportive of others, always willing to hear people out. It counts for more than you think. Ah, well, I scratched the back of my head as I brushed brightly in embarrassment. Well, that means a lot coming from you, Monika. Thank you. Don't mention it. I mean, lately I haven't felt like that at all, to be honest with you. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. How's that going? I still feel lost. Like, I don't know what to do. So I wanted to take a walk to help better clear my head. Well, it's good you're taking some time to think to yourself. I do a fair share of reflection during most of my walks anyways. It really does help the thought process. I mean, you might be walking and just having a new idea just drawn on you. It's happened to me plenty of times. Well, if it's worked for you, it'll definitely work on me. There's a brief pause between us as another breeze gently blows past us. Seeing Monika's hair flow in the wind manages to mesmerize me. She looks so beautiful, her long hair flowing in the wind, those emerald eyes gleaming brightly at me. Paired with that picture-perfect smile. And her dress suits her completely. Matter of fact, I've never seen Monika outside of school. I see then Monika forming a casual smirk at me. Apparently she must have realized I've been staring at her. Thankfully she doesn't seem bothered by it. Stop doing that! Hey Mark. Yeah? I barely managed to stammer out. I could use a little company on this walk. My memory is rusty for this area. Sure. I could use a guide. You want me to walk with you? You know it. Wow, I can't believe this. Monika's asking me to walk with her. This is unreal. But I'm not entirely sure if I want to be around anyone right now. Okay, so yeah, this is not the phone call, but it's Monika fucking teleporting behind me. This walk really was meant for some time by myself, especially since I'm trying to figure out if Monika is really someone I could be with. Should I walk with Monika? Well, I'll save, but of course I'm gonna say yes. Ah, screw it. Why not? Awesome! Monika does a little jump in excitement, which I'm surprised at, given how even-tempered she usually is in school. Though it could be when she's not in school, she's much more willing to let loose. That or she really likes exercising. Either way, I like it. So, do you want to walk someplace special or do you want to just walk around in a giant circle? Monika lets out a giggle. Just follow me. What? I thought I was supposed to... I know Monika doesn't really have a hazy memory of this area like she says, because of course she doesn't, but you know, like... Could you try to keep up the facade a little bit here, Monika? Without another word spoken, Monika and I start heading eastward, which just so happens to be the direction of the countryside. I just hope she doesn't include hiking as part of her walk. In fact, I just hope that I can keep up with someone of her physique in general. I'm not exactly out of shape, but Monika has quite the reputation when it comes to endurance. Hopefully, I don't fall behind. Hey, I remember this. This was in Blue Skies as well. Although it looks a bit different. I feel like it was like narrower in Blue Skies. As we're walking through the neighborhoods, it occurred to me how long it's been since I visited these parts. There we go. Granted, I've usually walked in the direction towards town for a school, but this part of the neighborhood is almost alien to me. It must have been since last summer I walked through here. Every now and then my parents make me go on walks with them, just to make sure I don't spend my summer constantly inside playing video games and watching anime. Not that I've ever been a big fan of walking, though I suppose it was nice to get out of the house every now and again. Which is pretty stark contrast compared to Monika, who seems to be happily content with herself, even though we haven't said much since we started walking a few minutes ago. Well, considering I don't get the chance to talk to Monika often, I should probably try to make an effort to make conversation with her. As I'm trying to think of something to talk about, I look off into the horizon where I can start to see little mountains off in the distance. I wouldn't want to be a drag on her moods, but I didn't exactly have hiking in my mind for this little trip. So, Monika, where exactly are we walking to? I mean, eventually we're going to run into those mountains. I point out the little mountains to Monika. That's where we're heading to, Mark. I know this spot where we can watch the sunset on the city. The views are quite breathtaking. We're not going to have to hike there, are we? To get there, are we? I didn't exactly bring the best hiking shoes. I showed my plain sneakers for emphasis. Oh, don't worry, there'll be no hiking on this trip. Not even I came prepared for that, unfortunately. The path to get there is actually pre-constructed, and it's not even all the way at the peak. What do you mean, it's not even all the way? You sound like that's a good thing. Well, that's good, I guess. Monika raises an eyebrow at me. You're not scared of heights, are you, Mark? No, I can manage. I've just never walked that far out before. Where do you usually go? Usually just to school and back. Maybe occasionally I walk a little further to go to the restaurants and shops near school, but that's usually it. You've never walked into the city? I mean, I could. It's just a little far for my tastes, I guess. Where do you usually walk to? All over the place. I never have a set route where I go. I always try to mix it up. Well, I just hope that I don't go... Well, I just hope you don't go to the north side of the town too often. Ah? Are you worried about me, Mark? I mean... I'm completely tongue-tied as Monika continues to grin at my expense. Come on, what's the best thing to say to her? I just blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. Why wouldn't I be? Huh? I mean, come on. A girl like you going around an area like that? I mean, I'd hate to find out if something bad happened to you when you were on one of your walks. Out on one of your walks. What would we do without you at the club? Now it's Monika's turn to be flustered. Oh, come on. Are you saying Sayori wouldn't do a good job in my absence? I mean, I'm sure she'd do fine. It just wouldn't be the same without you, you know? You're kinda irreplaceable. Aren't you such a gentleman? Now I see why Natsuki likes you so much. I look off into her eyes in an attempt to process what Monika had just said. I guess my personality's more charming than I first realized. I mutter softly. Even though it's not like I've spent a whole lot of time with Natsuki since the festival. What could she possibly see in me now? I've been so distant from her. It's like I'm accidentally giving her an abridged version of how I've treated Sayori over the last few years. God, I'm awful at keeping friendships. Like I said before, Mark, you don't give yourself enough credit. Maybe you give me too much. I have to disagree. I managed a small smile at Monika before turning back to face the path in front of us. We walk the next few minutes in silence before Monika leads us on a sudden turn. Wow, this looks like some sort of ancient temple or something. As we turn the corner, we stare down a long winding pathway, filled with trees and bushes crowded against each other along the walls. I look up at the street sign to see that the alleyway has already convincingly been named Garden Alley. I turn to Monika as she gleams with excitement. Well, we've really made good time so far. We're not that much further from where we're going, actually. Far? That much further from where we're going, actually. Well, it's good to know I haven't slowed you down or anything. And no, I'm not the most fit guy in school. No, you've actually kept up with me pretty well. Though, there's one part of this walk that'll be hard to do. What is it? Let's just say there's going to be a lot of steps. I'm not entirely sure what she means by that, but I'll go along with it. Oh, come on, I've walked this far already. A few little steps won't slow me down. But I hope you'll still have that determination when you see them. I'm sure I will. We keep walking through the winding path. Occasionally Monika would stop to smell whatever flowers weren't swarmed by insects. I noticed in particular that Monika had a fondness of smelling nearly every single camellia that was along the route. Figuring that was her favorite flower, I managed to discreetly pluck one when she wasn't looking. Maybe we could give this to her when we get up there. I look over to Monika, who is gently sniffing some tulips. I never knew Monika was so into nature. And her energy and enthusiasm are so different from how she usually is in school. It almost reminds me of Sayori, actually. Monika's been nothing but enjoyable to be with since this walk began. Maybe she's just trying to help me relax over everything. Well, I guess it's working. I walk over to Monika, who's still sniffing the tulips. I didn't know you were so into this place. Have you been here before? A couple of times, actually. I wanted to walk through here one last time before winter came. This is the last time things will be blooming here for a while. Ah, I guess that's true. I look up at the sky to see the sun starting to set. Well, if you're going to get to your spot before sundown, we probably should hurry. Monika gets her last whiff of the tulip before jumping up and looking at the sky. Oh wow, I guess time really flew by, didn't it? I guess we did take our time through here. Monika somberly looks off. Sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to slow us down here so much. Monika, it's fine, really. Monika looks back at me. I mean, this was your idea. You're allowed to have fun with it. Besides, I think a little break here and there does us good. And I'll admit, seeing you enjoy yourself like this is kind of cute. Monika blushes brightly. I hope it wasn't too forward there. Monika looks back to me with the biggest smile I've ever seen I've ever seen from her. There we go, fucking hell. And I can't help but return it with a smile of my own. The world around me seems to fade around me twice, okay? As I continue to gaze at the girl in front of me. This feels perfect. She's perfect. Her smile, her laugh, her personality. She's everything I've ever wanted. And everything points to her liking me back. Man, how the hell did this happen? Monika and I shuffle a little closer to each other. Do you really mean that, Mark? Why would I ever lie to you, Monika? Of course I meant it. Monika's giggle sends a shock through my heart as it starts speeding at 1,000,000 miles a second. My face turns flush as I struggle to keep myself from grinning like a total lunatic in front of her. Monika takes another step closer to me. I just wanted to make sure. Monika, I'd be the worst person on earth to lie to you. And anyone who does is an idiot. Monika lets out another giggle. See, what did I tell you, Mark? You haven't failed to put a smile on my face this entire walk. It's nice to know for once there's someone who truly appreciates me. Who just doesn't want me for one thing. I mean, it's true that there's a lot of thirst for Monika around school. Heck, I'm even guilty of it. But it looks like all along, no guy's ever tried to actually get to know her. But she's had to have genuine guy friends before. Even before she met me. And she's had to have found love once before. I decided to break the ice. What do you mean by that? Did something happen? Monika stoically nods. If I may ask, what happened? I thought that you were dating that one transfer student. But when you brought up last week that you don't have a boyfriend, I just assumed you guys must have ended it over the summer. But then I heard rumors you were seeing all sorts of guys. Not that I ever believed most of them. Well, the thing is, I've only had one, despite the rumors. But that relationship was just a sham for him to try and get close to me. He used me to boost his status around the school. And that wasn't the only thing he wanted from me. He was always pushing me to take our relationship to the next level. Of course. The jock character, no? You know? It took longer than I liked for me to see him for what he was. But thankfully I cut him off before we got that far. Too far. That was all last year. And I had to deal with a lot of unflattering rumors for the duration of that semester, but thankfully I dealt with it. I'd like to think I became a stronger person as a result of all this. But some of it still hurts. That's why I'm always skeptical when any guy comes up and tries to say all these nice things to me. I don't want a repeat of what happened last year. It wouldn't just hurt me this time. But I know you... I know you well enough to know you aren't like that. I'm frozen in shock as Monika tells me all this. I never even knew about half the things you just said. Monika, I'm really sorry that happened to you. I feel a deep sense of guilt swirl inside me, knowing that I may have occasionally tagged in on the gossip and frowning over Monika. And I feel even more guilty for how I've been distant from Natsuki lately. Oh, don't be. There's no use in being sorry for me, Mark. Everything's fine now. Well, if anyone ever spreads rumors about you, I'll be happy to talk to them for you, Monika. I jokingly show off my fist. I'll keep that in mind, Mark. Anyways, let's keep going, otherwise we're not going to reach the spot till tomorrow. I look at my watch. 6:45. Oh wow, we've been at this for a while now. Didn't even realize it. Time really flies when you're with someone. I guess that's the case. We stand in silence as another breeze gently blows over us. Well, I'll follow your leads, Madame President. I jokingly salute Monika, causing her to let out a hearty laugh. That is so something Sayori would say. I guess I've picked up on her more than I've realized. Anyways, let's go. Monika and I resume our walk through the path. As we started walking again, I hear her whisper something under her breath. Soon. Not too long after we resumed our walk, we reached the end of the path and face a towering row of stairs leading up to the mountain. I guess these are the stairs you warned me about? I don't know how I warned you. Don't say I didn't warn you. Well, I mean you did. I just didn't think it'd be that many stairs. I take another look at the seemingly infinite row of steps that seem to ascend into the heavens. A lump forms in my throat as my eyes continue to eyeball how many steps there are. I nervously swallow. You're not checking out on me now, are you, Mark? What? I could never do that to you. This would be a piece of cake. Oh, is that so? Well, my best rate of walking up these steps is 20 minutes. But I'm afraid the sun's going to set before that. She's not seriously thinking about racing me to the top, is she? Race to the top? Damn it! I look up to the sky and see that the sun's beginning its descent on the horizon. The sky is now a pure orange and seems to be getting darker by the second. Well, if I'm going to do something that I'll probably embarrass myself in front of Monika, I can't not ask for some sort of stakes. What do I win if I beat you? My respect and a nice view. Your respect, huh? Sounds good enough to me. You're on. Suddenly, Monika takes a step back in a pure shock. Mark, I think there's something behind you. What? Oh, it's just... I nervously look over my shoulders. To my thankful surprise, there's nothing there. I turn back around to Monika. There's nothing... I look around to see Monika is no longer standing in front of me. Instead, she's already running up the steps. Hey, no fair! I call out to her. Made you look! Looks like she's been spending time around Sayori lately. I smirk as I start running up the steps to try and catch Monika. No way I am going to let her beat me because of this.